All right, I am going to start recording this. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today for today's mindfulness meeting. Today we have Dr. David Boyns. Would you like to introduce a little bit about yourself, Dr. Boyns, before we start?
Sure, happy to do so. Tony, thank you for the introduction, and thank you all for having me here today and giving me the opportunity to talk about mindfulness. My name is David Boyns, and I'm a professor of sociology at CSUN, and I also direct the Institute for Community Health and Wellbeing on campus, and I've been a professor at CSUN for almost 20 years, and I've directed the Institute for Community Health and Wellbeing for, I think this is starting my 6th year. Those are kind of my academic credentials, but I've also been a mindfulness practitioner since for about, what year is it, 2020? For about 30 years. I really started dabbling in mindfulness in the 1980s, mid-1980s, and really developed a serious practice in mindfulness, probably around 1991, 1992. And it's been a part of my life ever since.
All right, we look forward to hearing.
Oops, I can barely hear you, Tony.
Oh, I said we look forward to hearing about the presentation.
So, so I told myself I wasn't going to put a PowerPoint presentation together, and then I did. And so I'm a professor. What do you expect? I'm also programmed to talk for 45 minutes at a time, but I really want to hear from all of you. And so I'm kind of curious to know something about who you are and kind of what brought you to this session and what kind of background or curiosity or both that you have about mindfulness practice. Can I hear a little bit from those of you who are here? I can see all your names. It would be great to hear some of your voices or comments in the chat.
And raise your hand if that way we know who to answer first.
Yeah, do any of you have experiences with mindfulness practice?
Hi, this is Irma. I have experienced mindfulness. I have done a few programs, so I'm very much interested in what you're going to teach us today.
Okay, very good. And I'm sure that you've heard about what mindfulness, you've heard the word or meditation practice. What I hope that everyone leaves with today is the start of a toolkit to begin your own mindfulness practice as part of this 365 journey to health. And Ashley says in the chat that she's here because she loves meditating. And I know that some of you may have experience with meditation through yoga, or maybe through a class that you've taken, or a podcast that you've listened to, or kind of a guided meditation that you followed. And what I hope to leave you with today is a simple practice that you can use anytime and in different ways in your everyday life. So it's a practice that you could use while you're cooking, while you're walking, or while you're doing just sitting meditation. Y'all want to do some sitting meditation today?
Sure.
Yeah. We're not going to do funky kind of cross-legged, lotus position sitting meditation. I can do that, although I'm starting to get old, and so I'm older, not old, older. So my body feels that more and more. But we're gonna explore some methods, different types of methods, but leave you with a method that you can use to start to build your own meditation practice if you haven't already. Oh yeah, and Rachel mentions that she learned mindfulness from a cross-country community college coach. Yeah, and mindfulness practice can be integrated into many other types of fitness activities, nutrition and eating activities, and some of the other things that are kind of rolled into this program. So I think what I'm going to do is start the PowerPoint that I put together. Where did it go? Here it is. And if you have questions at any time during the PowerPoint, just let me know. Please interrupt me. Please raise your hand. Tony, if you could help me see when people have raised their hands in case I've missed it, or if there's comments in the chat, but please feel free to use your voice and jump in at any time. So mindfulness and meditation and different types of practice. So again, this is my name and my affiliation at CISA. I'm a professor of sociology, and I direct the Institute for Community Health and Wellbeing. I'll make this PowerPoint presentation available for Tony and his team, and so that they can pass it on to everyone who is here and who's interested. So what is mindfulness? And let me tell you a little bit about my practice and my journey. I started off interested in mindfulness I guess when I was, in my teens, and then really started a more kind of focused practice in my 20s. And the way that I found mindfulness was in a couple of different traditions, and I'm kind of big on traditions of practice. Mindfulness has taken a lot of different kinds of, since it's mindfulness practices have been kind of universal throughout cultures, but really the mindfulness practices that we talk about as mindfulness in the US are really adapted forms of mindfulness from Eastern cultures. And they come from India, China, Japan, other cultures. And they've really, they came into the US in a big way in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. And different traditions of mindfulness kind of grew up in the United States. Yoga is a tradition of mindfulness practice. It's very popular today in the United States. And the form of mindfulness that really captured me is called Zen. And you probably have seen this word, Z-E-N. And Zen is a Japanese word that actually means, it's a translation of an Indian word that means concentration. And so mindfulness is a form of concentration practice. And I mean, here's the kind of secret of mindfulness, is that mindfulness works really well when you use your mind to concentrate on the present moment and on what you're doing in every moment, as every moment becomes every moment becomes every moment. And one way to do that, and we'll explore this today, is to look at how mindfulness can be used to link what goes on in our minds with our bodies, and using that as a practice to anchor us in the present moment experience. So, what is mindfulness? Jon Kabat-Zinn is actually an academic who started a tradition of mindfulness practice called mindfulness-based stress reduction. And I can put that in the chat later, or maybe I can do it now. It's a little bit tricky when I have the screen going. Mindfulness-based stress reduction. And he defines, he has adapted Buddhist mindfulness practice for a Western context. And the way that he adapted it is by using this as a definition. Mindfulness is the intentional, accepting, and non-judgmental focus of one's attention on emotions, thoughts, sensations that are occurring in the present moment. So I'm going to read that again. It's intentional, accepting, which means that you are using effort, that's the intention, to create an accepting and non-judgmental focus of awareness. Seeing what is there without pushing things away, without embracing things, just cultivating awareness. And with a focus on different objects, our emotions, our thoughts, our body, sensations in our body, things that are happening to us right now. Anybody have any thoughts on that definition or any questions? Does it make sense? Another way to put this in a simple way is just to be present. Be present with whatever is in a current moment. So we can compare mindfulness with mindlessness. And mindlessness, we could say, is where we are mostly with our focus of attention and our awareness. This is an experience that we might have where the light's on, but nobody's home, and we get into automatic pilot. You ever had the experience where, I'm assuming that, we live in Los Angeles, so most of you are probably drivers. You get in the car, you get on the 405 or freeway, and you're kind of moving, and then you drive for a period of time, and then you get to your off-ramp, and you're like, okay, I just drove from one place to the next, and I don't remember how I got there. Right? That's kind of the experience of mindfulness or mindlessness. We can sit and have a whole dinner and not remember a single bite of what we ate or remember how things tasted. And we can also do this, just walking from place to place or having a conversation. We can have a conversation with someone, just completely lose our train of thought because our mind is kind of scattered and not focused. We're not really where we are. Were there some comments in the chat?
Just comments about how often. Jasmine says that it's happened often to her. Arlene says very often. And then Ashley says yes.
I was told that forgetting mind wandering had a lot to do with my epilepsy. Is that one of the things, or is that wrong?
Can you repeat your statement again? You're breaking up just a little bit.
I have epilepsy, and I was taking medicine, but I have a lot of mind wandering, and I can be in the middle of a conversation and I don't remember what I was saying. Is that another? Would that be it too?
Yeah, that's very much like the mindlessness, and mind wandering is actually on the list. And mind wandering can be really fun and can really be a tool for piquing our imagination. And so let's not, say that mind wandering is always, counterproductive. But if our goal is to really improve our focus and our presentness and to improve our well-being, then we want to be clear about when we're letting our mind wander and when we're not letting our mind wander. And oftentimes our mind drives us instead of us, and our mind controls us instead of us controlling our minds. And so being intentional about our mind wandering is very important, but making sure that mind wandering is not, and this is also on the slide, our default state. And the researchers, scientists who are looking at mindfulness today, they have the phrase that they use, which I like, is a default mode network. And the default mode network is what our mind is doing when it is just wandering all over the place, and we are not making any effort in order to focus our mind and be present with our mind. And so our default mode sometimes can be fun with mind wandering and linking to imagination and creativity, but sometimes it can be destructive, and sometimes it can be dangerous if we're driving and we're not paying attention to what we're doing. For example. But rumination and self-talk are really interesting aspects of mindlessness. Rumination is a word that means that we become kind of focused and maybe over-focused on an idea, and we just let it repeat in our head. And it repeats over and over and over. And sometimes it can repeat for minutes or hours or days. Have you had a conversation where you walked away from it and you felt like someone kind of insulted you or made you angry, and you walk away thinking, I can't believe they said that to me. The next time I see them, I am going to say this, or you repeat the conversation, the argument. That's rumination. And many times we will ruminate on conversations with an argument that's of our own creation. And we imagine the other person being there, and we imagine ourselves, and we have this kind of argument internally. And if you're like me, I ruminate over kind of arguments and conversations that I've had with invisible people. And I realized that I misinterpreted something that someone had said, and that my conversation is total, or the self-talk that I'm having about myself or about this other person is completely off the mark. Has that ever happened to any of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this happens to us all the time. And that sometimes that rumination can be helpful, and sometimes that rumination can be destructive. Tony, I see there's some comments coming up. Are there things that you want to share? Oops.
So we have Arlene saying yes, and then myself, I said yep.
Okay, great. So now self-talk and rumination can be used in a positive way also, but the research says that we are most likely to ruminate about our negative experiences. We're most likely to have self-talk about negative experiences, replaying experiences that we found to be challenging, that we found to be confrontational, or that somehow kind of compromise our self-identity or something like that. So mindlessness is part of our daily experience, but there's suffering that comes with mindlessness. The goal of mindfulness is to help us understand the negative consequences of mindlessness, of not having a focused mind, not being in the present moment, and to develop some tools through which that we can ease this suffering. And suffering is kind of a tricky word, but we could see suffering as discomfort or uncomfortableness or confusion, or it can be worry or fear. We have a lot of mental suffering, and there are interesting analogies about suffering in mindfulness practice, that we can experience physical pain, real physical pain. And as much as we want to kind of wish that pain away, it doesn't go away. But oftentimes what we do, and so in Buddhist practice, they talk about this as the first arrow, that we get injured or hurt, that is pain. The second arrow, though, is the pain and suffering that we inflict on ourselves by ruminating on it, by focusing on it and reproducing it over and over and over again. So while pain is something that we might not ever be able to avoid, it's the added suffering it's the suffering that we add to the pain that mindfulness practice can help us to manage. And so we'll explore that a little bit more. So what's important about mindfulness? Mindfulness is not purely about relaxation. You will get relaxed if you practice mindfulness. But sometimes you will sit in mindfulness, in a meditation, and you'll be kind of agitated. You'll be kind of confused, or maybe you'll be tired, and that's okay. That's what your experience is. It's important to not expect that you're going to be relaxed every time that you practice mindfulness. In fact, sometimes when I practice mindfulness, I get up from my my practice and I'm really energized. I'm not relaxed. I am bright, wide eye awake and focused and ready to go. And sometimes I'm really sleepy, and it can change from day to day. Mindfulness is not daydreaming. This is the mind wandering that we've talked about. Mindfulness is not a way to avoid difficulty or problems or pain or suffering. Mindfulness can help us be friends with those challenges, with problems and difficulty, but not to push them away. And mindfulness is not about achieving an altered state of consciousness, about being blissed out or having a transcendent experience. Not that those are experiences that we won't have in mindfulness practice. Some mindfulness practices, sessions of meditation, for example, will be really ordinary. Some sessions of meditation practice will be really boring. Some will be very energizing. Some will be transcendent. But it's not about having any specific goal. The goal is in the practice itself. So there's some core elements of mindfulness practice, and these, we'll mention these, but I think these are things to explore in your own personal mindfulness practice. Observing what is happening, describing what is happening, being aware of everything. And everything includes, if you just pay attention to your experience right now, you experience your body, you experience what it feels like to have a body, all the different parts of your body, your toes, your fingers, your nose, your elbows, your back, all the different parts of your body, your heartbeat, the things that are moving inside of your body, your breath. But you also experience how your feet, if you're sitting like I am, touch the ground, or how you touch your chair or the place where you're sitting. But you also can experience tastes you might have, smells you might have, the feeling of the air in the place where you are, the temperature. Just feel what it's like to be inside of a room using all your senses, your eyes, and what you hear as well too. And as part of a non-judgmental practice, to use those observations as a way of just documenting and describing what's happening holistically, and not to push anything away, but to allow all sensations to come in a non-judgmental way, paying attention with a single focus on where you are in a current moment. And in talking about different types of mindfulness practice, there are different what are described as foundations for mindfulness practice. And these are kind of the gateways into mindfulness practice. And you can use mindfulness of different things as the opening into exploring mindfulness of your body, mindfulness of your senses and your feelings, mindfulness of what's going on inside of your mind. There's a mindfulness practice that is simply, oftentimes it's like fly catching. A thought comes through and you watch it and you catch it, you note it, and then you let it go. And another thought comes through and you catch it and you note it and you let it go, and so forth. And then mindfulness of mental phenomena or mental objects. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on, I don't know if you can see my cursor, mindfulness of body. And the practice that we'll explore which is the practice that I am most passionate about, is mindfulness of breath. And breath is a really cool thing to pay attention to, because it's automatic. Hopefully, it's something that we do from moment to moment. It's always changing and always with us. And interestingly enough, it's what keeps us alive. It helps us interact with it's a way we interact with our environment. And for the most part, we are totally unaware of how our breath is from moment to moment. But breath can really help us be anchored in a present moment experience. So there's different types of mindfulness. We're not going to focus too much on all of these, but I'm going to highlight a couple of them. Sitting meditation, which is what we'll do today, is a kind of very popular form of mindfulness practice. There's also body scan meditations, which can be done sitting or can be done laying down. And body scan meditations are simply a way of experiencing every part of your body inside and out, and then working to just relax all of those parts of your body as a method for being focused on your whole body. There are moving meditations, and if you've seen Tai Chi or sometimes yoga are moving meditations. Do you know Tai Chi? Tai Chi has movements, it's hard to see on my Zoom screen, has movements that look like this with your hands, or with like push hands or cloud hands, it will look like this, right? You've probably seen these kind of very slow moving meditations. Mindfulness of breath, which is what we'll focus on. Metta meditation is a meditation practice in which it's a compassion practice in which you will offer good wishes to yourself and to someone you love, someone that you're neutral toward, and someone that is a difficult person for you. I love the compassion metta meditation, also is sometimes called loving kindness meditations. And there's mindfulness of eating, walking, and there are different types of guided meditations where you can use someone's voice or the experience of sound as an anchor for your meditation practice. All right, we doing good so far? We're going to jump into, we've done some kind of, theoretical stuff, I guess, conceptual stuff. Now let's talk about how we can do mindfulness. There's two basic elements of mindfulness practice: our posture and our method. And our posture is what we do with our bodies, and our method is what we do with our minds. And through combining posture and method, we seek to unify both our minds and our bodies. And posture and method are both important, because if we don't have the right posture, our meditation practice can lack energy and focus. It can also, it's pretty common in some yogic traditions have relaxation meditations, like a shavasana, the corpse pose, which is a great pose. And I don't know how many people I've known who at the end of yoga session, they fall asleep because they're laying down. And meditation methods where we want to kind of peak our awareness and focus are better not done laying down. They're better done standing or sitting, and with a more erect posture. So posture is important, but also what we do with our mind, because we're not going to achieve a meditative focus just by sitting, because that's what we do when we watch TV. And at least for me, I'm rarely in a mindful place when I'm watching TV. So we seek to unify our body and our minds. And there's different types of sitting postures. I just put this image here so that there's different types of sitting postures. The posture that I am using today is in a chair, and I can't see all of you, but I'm assuming that will be a similar posture for most of you. But there are different types of lotus postures: a full lotus, half lotus, or Burmese quarter lotus posture. These are important because if you sit cross-legged on the ground, sitting cross-legged in specific ways helps you build a strong foundation for your sitting practice. If you sit cross-legged on the ground and you meditate for 30 minutes can be a long time, and it can be a long time to sit cross-legged. Your body can slouch, and lean to the side as you get relaxed. But sitting with a strong foundation will help you have an upright posture. Sitting in seiza is sitting on a bench. I don't have an image of this, but this is essentially well, these are very similar kind of seiza. Oh, no, there is a bench here. These are seiza postures. We're going to sit in a chair, but you can also do meditation standing, lying down, or walking. In the Zen tradition, which is the Japanese Buddhist tradition that I practice, walking meditation is very, very, very slow. And it's, for me to walk down my hallway, which maybe is 20 feet, it could take me 10 minutes. It's very, see my feet or my hands, it's very, very slow footsteps. It's actually a lot of fun. And if you're not paying attention, you can fall over. So, tips for posture. I'm actually sitting on a kind of on a stool, so I don't have a backrest. But if you can, rest your feet or the lower part of your body, your legs, in a way where you feel anchored to the ground. And how I'm anchored to the ground is my feet are flat on the ground. I'm not sitting cross-legged. I'm not sitting with just up on the tip of my toes. I'm sitting with my feet flat on the ground. So I feel like I'm grounded, like that I'm actually kind of landed on the ground. You want to have a straight spine. Really, it's difficult to do this through Zoom, but my spine is straight. I'm not slouched over, but I'm also not like military salute, straight. I'm relaxed, but straight focused. Is there a question, Tony? I saw something pop up in the chat.
Yes. So Ashley asks, what if you can't reach the floor?
Oh, yeah, it's a good question. If you can't reach the floor, then you can use a pillow to put underneath your feet, or if you have a footstool, you can do that. And if you can't, if you're able to, you can just sit cross-legged in a chair or on a couch. Or you can try to lean forward, sit on the edge of whatever you're sitting on, and see if you can get your feet grounded on the ground, but also have your tailbones. That's the most important part. Your tailbones resting on whatever you're sitting on. Hopefully that helps. Keep your spine straight. Allow your head to be balanced on top of your spine, lifting upward from the back. So what that means is you want to have your gaze focused in front of you. You don't want to be focused like this. You don't want to be focused like this. When I see people meditating and they're kind of looking up, I oftentimes think that they're daydreaming. That's just what I would do if I have my head up. If my head is down, I think I would be asleep. So you want to find the middle ground in this. Let your head be pulled up and let your eyes fall about 5-6 feet in front of you. And the metaphor that's often used is to let your body hang as if it's suspended, like from a marionette string. Like if you're just being dangled from a string. And just let your body relax into your sit bones on whatever you're sitting. You can use your hands in different ways. I'll show you, if I can, my hands. So I will rest my hands on my thighs. You can rest your hands on your thighs upwards, downwards, or in the middle. This is a traditional Zen posture, to have your hands resting together in the center. And this is how I experience these hand postures. The Indian word for this is mudra, hand postures. It's if I want to feel grounded, I will face my hands down, because that gives me a feeling of groundedness. If I want to feel open, I'll rest my hands up, because that gives me a feeling of openness. And if I want to feel centered, I'll put my hands in the center. So grounded, openness, and centered. Does that, everybody get that?
Yes.
And do you have those same kind of feelings? Do you feel the sense of like, even just doing it for just a minute, grounded, or a few seconds, grounded, open, centered? Maybe it's just me, but that's how I experience those hand gestures. What I would encourage you to do is find one of those hand positions, and that's what we'll explore today. Is just one of those hand gestures. So pick a openness or a centered or a groundedness. Your eyes can be open or closed as you meditate. It's up to you. The danger of closing your eyes is that you're more likely to fall asleep. But the benefit of closing your eyes is that the distractions in the environment around you will be minimized. Let your jaw drop, because we carry so much tension in our jaws every day. Just let your jaw relax. Let your brow relax. Let your shoulders relax. And those are kind of the basic elements of posture. Everybody feel like they have a good posture using those instructions? Yeah. So with posture, and Tony, let me know if there's any questions. It's hard for me to see I see the chat pop up, but it's hard for me to see the actual comments.
People saying yes, that they can feel it.
Awesome. So with posture, we have a way to use our bodies, and we can anchor our bodies in that posture and just let our body be there, whatever we've chosen. And then, and you see this posture, you can do this pretty much anywhere. You can do this on your couch at home, sitting on the side of your bed. You could do this sitting on the floor. You could do this sitting at the park. You could, if you're a student, you could do this in the classroom when we actually get to go back to class. Before class, or even for a few minutes during class, do this at the doctor's office or the dentist's office. We can do this in so many different kinds of places because the posture is, lends itself to that. The method that we'll use and that we're going to explore today is following the breath or counting the breath. And this is a method, as mentioned earlier, as a way to unify both body and mind. So we have a posture and our body sitting in space, in a room, in a specific place. But we want to connect our mind to that body. So the technique that we'll use is, if you can, to breathe through your nose, although if you breathe through your mouth, that's okay too. But to breathe naturally. We already know how to breathe, so just let our body do it. And our job is to pay attention. Breath comes in, breath goes out. Just take a few minutes to feel that. Breath goes in, and breath comes out. Sometimes breaths will be long and deep. Sometimes breaths will be short and shallow. However the breath is what the breath is. You just need to be aware of what the breath is, what the breath is giving us in that moment. Take a few minutes just to do that in that posture, just to breathe the breath, feel the breath coming in, the breath going out. So I'm going to interrupt you for just a minute and add something to that. As you breathe, it's easy for our minds to get distracted because our minds always want to grab onto something, and our minds are oftentimes full of lots of competing information, laundry lists of things we have to do, wondering what our friend just texted us and you know, or posted on social media, or just texted us, or what's on TV or Netflix, or what's going on outside. Our minds are always competing with our attention is always competing with itself. So we can add a counting of the breath to our following of the breath. We'll do it in this way. As the breath comes in, let the breath come in. And as breath goes out, we'll count silently to ourselves 1. And let the breath come in. The breath go out. We count silently to ourselves 2. The breath comes in. The breath goes out. We count 3. And we can repeat that process until we get to 10. And it's important to have an end point. And when we get to 10, we start back over at 1 and count again. Breath comes in, breath comes out. And we're counting. So this is a method. Let me interrupt you in your meditation real quick. This is a method for connecting what's going on with our minds with what's going on with our bodies. And the counting helps to prevent the competing information that may be in our minds, so that we have our mental or our physical focus on something that's unified. It's important that if you lose track, you can't remember if you were counting breath number 6 or breath number 8, that you just start back over at 1. And let me mention this to you. If you have the moment where you lose track, there's a tendency that we might have to beat ourselves up and say, I'm mindless. I lost track. But the moment that you remembered that you lost track, that was your moment of insight, because you were in a mindless state, maybe losing track, and then you became mindful. So that moment where you discovered that you lost track, that was your mindful moment. So don't punish yourself for losing track. Reward yourself for realizing that you did. And you may count past 10. And sometimes when I'm really tired or distracted, I might count to like 17 or 25 instead of 10. And then I realize, oh my gosh, I got on automatic pilot. And just have that moment of insight and then start back over at 1. So should we do some practice? Everybody ready? So I like to use a bell. Some of you have seen bells like this in the past. Tell me if you can hear this. Are you able to hear this okay? Do
Yes.
I need to do it a little bit louder? So I'll use this bell to start practice, and then we'll meditate for a short period of time. And then I'll use this bell again in order to stop the meditation and then bring us back to our Zoom space. Because we're in Zoom, you're welcome to keep your cameras on or turn them off. I can't see all of you because I'm just looking at the shared screen, but do whatever's most comfortable for you for the meditation. I'll keep my camera on and I'll set a timer and away we go. Sound good? Any questions about the posture or the method before we start? All right, here we go. I'll use the bell. Hopefully you could all hear the bell. No, I'm gonna turn off the stop share screen. So hopefully everyone's back from their meditation. So how was that for everyone?
I stayed at number 1.
And that's okay, right? I mean, you some days will be like that. You will stay at number 1, or some meditation sessions you'll stay at number 1 and stay at number 1 and stay at number 1, and you won't feel like you're making progress. Other meditation sessions, you will cruise 1 through 10, 1 through 10, 1 through 10. It will be so easy. And it's really important to just, let every meditation session be what every meditation session is, and not have the expectation. Remember, non-judgmental, not let every meditation session, expect every meditation session to be the same or to be, transformative.
Right.
But you stayed at 1. That's good.
Too many thoughts right when I was getting to number 2.
Yeah, exactly. And, meditation and mindfulness practice works a lot like exercise. You don't sit down and try to do a 50-pound curl to build your bicep at one time, right? You work up to it. You start with 5 pounds or 10 pounds, and then you build up to it. And that's what the meditation practice, the exercise model, the weightlifting model is the same model that you'll use in meditation. It builds on itself. So congratulations for getting to 1. Some people never even get to 1. Today you got to 1.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. How about from some of the rest of you, how did that go?
It was very needed, much needed.
Yeah, for me too, actually. I've had a super busy day, so it felt really good for me too. Ashley has a question. Why is it that when I listen to frequency music, I get emotional and feel like tearing up? What do you mean by frequency music? Oh, different hertz. Yeah, what's the magic number? Is it like 486 or 482 hertz, something like that? Yeah, I mean, there are theories about, because I actually do a lot of research on music and its relationship to meditation. And there are theories that say that different hertz of music, 428, that's what it is. Thank you, Jenny. That there are different hertz of music that are that kind of tune into the body in different kinds of ways. I'm not an expert in the different hertz of music, so I could speculate on an answer to your question, but it would really not be I'm not the most educated person in that area to answer.
It is almost 3.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any follow-up questions, they can email myself, Jenny, or anyone in your family, and we can relay it to Dr. Boyns.
Yeah, you're welcome to email me directly too. I did put my actually, you know what? Should I just attach the PowerPoint to the chat?
Yeah, if you feel like it. We are also going to upload the recording up onto the.
Okay, yeah. You can do that, sure.
If that's the case, thank you, Dr. Boyns.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, did you find this helpful?
I did.
Yes, I did.
Helpful?
Good.
Very helpful.
Awesome. the next time that we group up, and hopefully you'll come back for session number 2, is we'll do some longer meditation. And how long? Oh, I wanted to ask you, how long do you all think that we meditated?
10 minutes?
10 minutes?
So we have 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So you're all kind of ballparkish. It was about 7 minutes. So if this is your first time meditating, good job, because meditating for 7 minutes is quite a feat. And think about how busy we are and how distracted and how easy it is for us to get distracted. And you sat for 7 minutes to kind of just take some time for yourself and the space around you. And that's pretty rare in today's busy world. And in COVID quarantine, you can do a lot of this kind of practice to help ground yourself and just keep yourself, at peace and focused.
Only when once a day, or when we feel we need it?
Yeah, I mean, I know that we're, past the 3 o'clock hour, but what I will make this as recommendations. It's very good for you to try to practice every day, at least every day, once a day. Find a time and a place where you can carve out an opportunity for you to practice, and then set a goal for yourself. I am going to sit for 2 minutes, or I'm going to sit for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I wouldn't, like, my usual meditation sessions are 30 minutes. And that's pretty, honestly, it's pretty easy for me, but I've been meditating for a long time. Don't go for 30 minutes and then, you're going to get to 10 minutes and go, oh my gosh, this is torture. How can anybody do this? Right? Ease yourself into this. Don't go for the 500-pound weights. Go for the 10-pound weights, and then go for the 20-pound weights, and build yourself, up to that. You can meditate multiple times a day. The time of day, I think, is important. Mornings and evenings are good times, but the practice, posture, and method that we use today, you can employ that anytime, right? You can just take a moment from your reading, TV watching, conversations, or eating, and just follow your breath for 3 counts or 10 counts, and then go back to what you're doing. Eventually, hopefully, you'll get to a place where you start to follow your breath, you'll get to 10, and you want to do another 10, and you want to do another 10, because it just feels good. You feel like you're really tuning into it. Norma, I hope that, yeah, great. That answers your question. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. I hope this was beneficial, and it was good for me to take a moment this afternoon to just 7 minutes of meditation. That felt really good.
Okay, thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Great rest of the day, everyone.
Thank you.